On 5 News, 23 suspects are identified over the Hillsborough disaster and the alleged police cover-up. Prosecutors will now decide on criminal charges. Families welcome the move.
This, I feel now, we're on the road to the end.
Also, snow and storms hit Britain. Drivers face perilous journeys on the roads, flights are cancelled, and one coastal village in Essex is being evacuated because of threats of flooding. The former England manager Graham Taylor dies at the age of 72. And it's been a bumper Christmas for many high street stores. So did you splash too much cash?
Yeah, I definitely spent more this Christmas than last year, definitely.
Spent a fortune on these two, very lucky.
Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. This is a momentous day. The words of a mother, Margaret Aspinall, who lost her son James in the Hillsborough disaster in 1989. She was reacting to the news that files on 23 people and organisations involved in the tragedy have now been handed to the investigating authorities. 96 people died at Hillsborough. An inquest last year found they were unlawfully killed. From Liverpool, here's Peter Lane.
Justice! Now you shall all believe us. Unlawful.
At the close of last year's Hillsborough inquest, the victims' families made it clear their long fight wasn't over. The coroner's court ruled the deaths were unlawful killing, but there's never been a criminal prosecution. Now, almost 28 years after the disaster, files have been sent to the Crown Prosecution Service. They're considering potential charges against 23 individuals and organisations. For Margaret Aspinall, who heads the family's campaign and who lost her son at Hillsborough, it is a turning point.
This is a momentous day today, because after, all the things that we've been through, private prosecution, scrutiny, judicial reviews, this, I feel now, we're on the road to the end.
15 of the suspects are linked to Operation Resolve, which looked at the causes of the disaster. Potential charges include gross negligence, manslaughter, perverting the course of justice, misconduct in public office and health and safety offences. A further 8 suspects come from the IPCC's investigation into South Yorkshire Police and West Midlands Police and the alleged cover-up, with possible offences including perverting the course of justice, conspiracy to pervert the course of justice and misconduct in public office.
This has been an absolutely enormous investigation. I think probably the biggest criminal investigation into police that's ever taken place in this country. In addition to that, it's also been supporting the longest running inquest in the country and having to do both of those. So it's very substantial. We've have over 200 staff working on it, and we've been working on it for 4 years.
At last year's inquest, the jury found Match Commander David Duckenfield, on the right here, responsible for manslaughter by gross negligence. But the coroner made it clear his court was not holding a trial. No names have been released today identifying anyone facing possible charges. The families of the 96 Hillsborough victims have been told it may take 6 months before decisions are reached on charges, but they, of course, have already spent years waiting for answers and accountability.
Let's talk to Peter now. He's at Liverpool Stadium, Anfield. We heard Margaret Aspinall saying they're on the road to the end. When might we see that end?
Well, Sian, over the years, of course, they've held the memorial services here at the stadium. It's been the focal point for the campaign, the call for justice. They're going to have to carry on waiting a little bit longer, and they know that this referral to the CPS doesn't automatically mean that anyone is going to be charged. And the CPS have been sent 140,000 pages of documents to assess before they do make any decisions. And if anyone does end up in a criminal court, that process itself, of course, can take a very long time. Before we know it, we could be at the 30th anniversary of the disaster.
Peter, thank you. Large parts of the UK are experiencing what the Met Office calls a real taste of winter today. Strong winds, snow and freezing temperatures have caused travel disruption and power cuts, while residents in one village in Essex are being told to leave their homes because of a flood risk. Dominic Reynolds reports.
This morning on Saddleworth Moor, it already looked like only the bravest truck drivers were making the crossing. And as this weather moves further south, it's predicted to get more powerful, delivering more wind, more snow. And as the gritters prepared the ground in South Wales, elsewhere in the UK, 80 flights were being grounded at Heathrow Airport, the UK's busiest. The rain was falling steadily in Jaywick in Essex tonight, but there are fears that winds and rain will mean tomorrow these homes will be in danger. Police and fire officers will start evacuating the entire town at dawn.
We're assisting Essex Police, who are leading the operation, in evacuating the residents of Jaywick who are currently on the risk at the moment from that east coast tidal surge that is predicted to come in tomorrow.
This is what the approaching weather looked like this morning. That's snow coming in from the left of the picture.
The source of the air is coming in from the Canadian Arctic, cold air moving across relatively mild seas, producing showers, and these showers are hitting the cold air across the UK and turning to snow.
It meant Scotland woke up to a covering. These roads were passable, but there are warnings that tonight snow could turn to ice and drivers should be ready.
Drive slightly slower and drive more smoothly. No sharp braking, that tends to lead to skids. If there is ice and you're trying to get up a hill, it's often better to do it in second gear rather than first gear.
While some people this afternoon were taking advantage of new transport opportunities, the weather is likely to slow down much of the rest of the UK. Yellow be aware warnings are in place, and for anyone heading to an airport, the advice is check before you go. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.
And Claire Nazir, who you saw in that report, is going to be back at the end of the programme with a full weather forecast for you. Football is mourning one of its most popular figures today. Graham Taylor, England manager for 3 years and a hugely successful boss of Watford and Aston Villa, has died of a suspected heart attack at the age of 72. While his time in charge of the national team wasn't without its critics, fans and those within the game today remembered a lovely, generous and truly decent man. Here's Julian Drucker.
He was certainly not the most successful England manager, but Graham Taylor was one of the game's gentlemen. The no-nonsense northerner reached the pinnacle of English football and in 1990 took on what he described the impossible job.
We are looking for the win, but we're certainly not looking to be beaten.
In an unprecedented move, he allowed a documentary crew to film the team's faltering campaign to qualify for the 1994 World Cup.
Can we not knock it? What are they being instructed?
Under intense pressure, Taylor coined an immortal catchphrase.
Do I not like that?
His resignation came soon after. Famously and unkindly likened to a turnip, no England manager before or since has been as pilloried by the press as much as he. Aged 72, Graham Taylor's family said he died of a suspected heart attack early this morning. Paying tribute on Twitter, former England star Alan Shearer wrote, "Completely shocked by news of Graham Taylor. Always held him in the highest regard. The man who gave me my first England cap. So sad." Peter Crouch, who played under Taylor at Aston Villa, said had so much respect for him, gave me my Premier League debut, and I will always be thankful. Taylor's own debut in the game came as a player. In 1962 he joined Grimsby Town. But his 2 stints as manager of Watford are the stuff of footballing legend. He took them from the lower leagues into the old First Division. With club chairman Sir Elton John alongside him, they made an intriguing double act. Today the star shared a treasured picture on social media and wrote, "He was like a brother to me. We shared an unbreakable bond since we first met. I love you, Graham." He'll also be remembered for his time at Aston Villa and latterly as a pundit. But most of all, Graham Taylor will be recalled as one of the most genuine figures in the beautiful game.
Julian Drucker on the former England manager Graham Taylor, who's died at the age of 72. Now, last night we told you about that extraordinary dossier which contained unverified information about President-elect Donald Trump's private life and his alleged links to Russia. Well, tonight, the MI6 officer said to be behind that dossier, Christopher Steele, is reported to have gone into hiding. And Donald Trump himself has said America's spy chief has called him to denounce the leak. Our political editor, Andy Bell, reports.
Has the president-elect been undermined by America's intelligence agencies, or has he been compromised by the Russian Secret Service? Yesterday it was plain Donald Trump was furious about that leaked dossier.
I think it was disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out.
This morning he tweeted, "James Clapper, the head of US National Intelligence, called me yesterday to denounce the false and fictitious report that was illegally circulated. Made up, phony facts. Too bad." But publicly, James Clapper has not said that. He's denounced the fact the report was leaked, but he's made no judgment on whether it's true. This is what he's talking about, a dossier shown to both President Obama and the president-elect. It alleges the Russian Secret Service have material, for instance, lurid sex tapes, that could leave Mr. Trump open to blackmail. But that dossier was put together by a former British spy named Christopher Steele, and this is his London office. Christopher Steele was an MI6 agent in Moscow, but since leaving, his company has carried out investigations for commercial clients. There was no answer at the office today, and he has not been seen since his dossier so infuriated the president-elect. Donald Trump has visited Russia. This was 2013. But some familiar with the country are sceptical about the dossier's claims to have penetrated the Russian spy network.
Those sorts of targets are very hard to penetrate, and one of the great faults with this dossier is that it implies a level of penetration which, if they did really achieve it, would be far more than Western intelligence agencies have achieved over the time that I've been aware of this stuff.
The president-elect's adamant there's no truth in these claims. But just a week before he takes office, it's extraordinary the allegations are being made at all. Andy Bell, 5 News.
Coming up on 5 News, the figures showing a record number of patients waiting to be discharged from hospital. And after 8 years making the White House her home, Michelle Obama on what it's like getting ready to leave.
It is nuts. I feel like crying right now, and I didn't think that it was going to be that emotional.
We'll see you after the break. Hello and welcome back. You're watching 5 News. Another day, another strong indication of the struggles facing the NHS in England. Tonight, it's the latest figures on waiting times at A&E departments, and they show targets were missed for the 16th month in a row. In November, just over 88% of patients were seen within 4 hours. Now, the target is 95%. Doctors say that's partly because of poor social care, which means they can't send patients home. There was a 42% rise in delays in discharging patients. In fact, on one day, November the 24th, nearly 7,000 people were waiting to be discharged. That's the highest ever recorded. More people are also visiting A&E. Attendances rose by 4.5% on the year before. Well, Simon Vigar has been seeing how staff at Milton Keynes University Hospital are coping.
Children's A&E at Milton Keynes Hospital. They're better than the national average for waiting times here, but short of the target of 95% within 4 hours. And they say every winter it's worse.
This is probably the busiest that we've been, I think, for a very long time, without a doubt. In terms of the numbers, in terms of the seriousness of the illness that we're seeing in all patients, and from children to the elderly.
The 2 patients in black here have been waiting over 4 hours. The 3 reds are 3 to 4 hours. National figures for November show all the key targets have been missed as tensions mount between NHS England and the government. The patients do not blame the frontline staff.
Some people come to A&E when they could go to their GPs. We've all done it. I think it's just the amount of people that attend A&E puts constant pressure on staff.
About a hip problem. The pain's changed in the hip, so I've come to get checked out.
And how long have you been waiting?
About an hour and a half.
And it was Monday, I was busy, and I feel sorry for them. They were running about and I had their stickage basically.
More people are living longer and more of them are being brought to A&E rather than being treated in the community. The boss here believes he has a whole ward of people who should never have been brought to hospital in the first place.
Supporting care homes, nursing homes and supporting patients in their own home is where I would look to put additional funding, which might seem strange from an acute trust chief executive.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there should be more money, but not here, in other areas.
I think that funding would enable us to free up capacity in acute hospitals to cope with the pressures that we're under.
It doesn't matter if every bed is taken, the ambulances still come. And that means tough choices are made in every hospital, every hour of the day. Simon Viger, 5 News, Milton Keynes.
It seems like a long time ago now, but Christmas is still bringing cheer for Britain's high streets. Major chains, including John Lewis, Marks & Spencer and Tesco, have been totting up their sales for the festive period, and most have made an improvement on the year before. Will it last, though? Ruth Liptrot has been speaking to shoppers about their spending.
For the high street, this last Christmas seems to have been the gift that keeps on giving.
Did you spend loads of money over Christmas?
Yes.
On presents?
Yes. Yeah, I definitely spent more this Christmas than last year.
High Street got my money. It did, loads of it. Did you spend a fortune over Christmas?
Yes, absolutely. Spent a fortune on these two. Very lucky.
And they weren't the only ones splashing the cash as today's results from the High Street show. John Lewis reported figures that were up 2.7% in the 6 weeks up to Christmas. Tesco's Christmas period was up by 0.7% on last year. For the period ending the 7th of January, Debenhams were up an impressive 3.5%. And for the 13 weeks before the big day, M&S sales were up by 1.3%. Clothing and home performed particularly well for them, a turnaround from recent years. But what was it about this festive season that made us put our hands in our pockets?
I think consumers were generally feeling a little bit more buoyant. The end of 2016 saw a lot of deals and discounts, and so people were enjoying a little bit of an opportunity to spend. Also, they had longer to shop this year with the way Christmas fell.
But what about 2017? Well, the prospect of rising inflation and possibly interest rates put a dampener on things.
Things will settle down and the high street will struggle. We're going to see prices possibly going up because of the cost of currency as a result of Brexit. So I think things will be a little bit more suppressed for the next few months.
Not the answer then that the retailers will be hoping for.
Well, it is January, so it's natural to be a bit cautious because we're probably all skint. So let's see what you lot think. Do you think you will carry on spending this year?
Probably.
Why?
Just feel more confident with everything and feel more secure with jobs.
Are you going to keep spending in 2017?
Yes.
Do you think people are going to keep spending into 2017?
Oh, yes, you can't help it.
Well, this lot don't sound ready to put the credit cards away anytime soon. Maybe there's hope for the high street yet. Ruth Liptrot, 5 News.
Finally, we've heard Barack Obama's heartfelt thoughts on coming to the end of his presidency. Now, Michelle has given an insight into how the family are dealing with leaving the White House. On American television, she said it's all been surprisingly emotional, realising they won't be able to go back to the place that's been home since 2008. Here's Minnie Stevenson.
8 long years ago, Michelle and Barack Obama first got the keys to the White House. And as they prepare to move out, they take with them many memories. Visitors from every corner of the globe came, hosting Halloween to Christmas. The now globally famous first dogs, Bo and Sonny, even played a role as Michelle and Barack turned the White House into their home. So on her last TV appearance as the First Lady, Mrs. Obama admits leaving's going to be emotional.
It is nuts. I feel like crying right now. And I didn't think that it was going to be that emotional because it's like, yeah, we're ready. We're good. We're good. We're ready to go. It's been 8 years. 8 years is enough. We're packing up. But no, it has been surprisingly emotional for all of us.
And yesterday, in his final speech as president, forget world leaders, Barack thanked his First Lady.
You made the White House a place that belongs to everybody. And the new generation sets its sights higher because it has you as a role model. So you have made me proud, and you have made the country proud.
And Mrs. O has proved herself to be the hostess with the mostess. From dancing with this 106-year-old fan in the White House to being in fine voice for karaoke in the car.
You see me putting it down on the hottest round. I tell your mother, what? Y'all can stop me now.
But Michelle says the White House isn't the kind of place you can pop into.
We can't go back to that house. It's not like you can knock and get, can I see my room? It's over.
Yeah.
Once you're out, you're out. They don't, that oath is real, It's like we'll be standing at the gates going, remember us!
Of course, never say never. Some people are predicting one day Michelle Obama may return to the White House, next time as president. Stranger things have happened. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
Now, before we go, Matt has joined us to tell us what's coming up on 5 News tonight. Hello there, Matt.
Hi, Sean. Tonight we'll have more reaction to our lead story, those developments around the Hillsborough investigation. And I'll be speaking to the father of one of the 96 who died in the tragedy about his long battle for justice, 28 years, and who he thinks is responsible as well. We'll also have more on the extreme weather that is battering much of the country tonight. How long is it going to last? And yep, it's that movie that everyone's making a big song and dance about. We'll hear from the stars of La La Land as the film gets its UK premiere. Haven't seen it yet myself, Sean. I know a few people around here have had a sneak preview.
I have. It's lovely. You'll love it. Old-fashioned romance.
Oh,
thank you, Matt. See you later. That's it for now. Claire Nazir has the weather for you next. I will see you again soon. Matt, of course, back at 6:30. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.